You can help your life through music therapy. Give it a try and you'll surely see life is symbolized by the life tree. And I'm truly happy you will be. I was in pain and now I'm free. Helped me by music therapy. Now I am truly happy. So my expression is truly free. Music therapy, happy you will be. Music therapy, of pain I'm now free. Music therapy, happy you will be. Music therapy, in pain I am now free. So listen closely and listen to me. Your life is better with music therapy. It works, trust me, you will see. Your life is better with music therapy.
Woo!
Awesome job,
All
Robbie.
right.
That was amazing. As always, we gotta have to put at the beginning of the show this kind of clapping thing that I've been told by others. What is that sound? It's castanedas or something like that. But anyway, here we are on the Music is Therapy show. The Music is Therapy show with our co-hostess with the mostest, Janice Lala, and co-hosting as well today, my good buddy Brent Octopus Ears.
What's up, guys?
Man, you're looking handsome.
Thanks, man.
Janice, you look
Here's
like
Rico.
an angel from the sky. Look at you, like the glow of. Anyway, I decided to go Mount Baldy today because my sweetie's like, you don't always have to wear hats, honey. You have a beautiful bald head. Let
Yeah,
it show.
Lucas in the
Let it
chat
shine.
just said you're
Let it
topless.
shine. Let it shine. Absolutely,
That's a cool
Lucas. Yeah.
song.
Yeah, right. Let it
Hey,
shine.
Guitar
Right?
Man
So
45.
many
What's
good
up,
songs.
Bo?
Guitar Man. Bo, you got my message, I hope. I'm going to work on that list today. That's part of what today and tomorrow will be. Outside of what we're going to talk about today. So today's topic is a Q&A, or did I put it in the title wrong? People are telling me I did everything wrong. Let me see. Probably did do everything wrong, as usual. What did I do? Let me go to Music Therapy LAZ channel on my phone here and see what it says. It says,
Rico, this is
no,
for
it says
you.
Q&A. It says Q&A with Laz and crew. Ask us anything. We've got answers. You might not like them, but we do
Ryan
have
Hall, brother.
answers for you. Right on, Ryan. What's up, Zach Thong, Rico B, Wayne, new to the chat. Greetings, Wayne McConnell. Awesome, dude. BC Rich 581. What's up, dude? Ming the Merciless from Flat. Dude, I want to do that for Halloween, but the costume is insanely expensive. Anyway, I so want to do that. My sweetie could totally pull off the princess thing, you know. she's the dark-haired kind of gorgeous. Anyway, and then did we say hi to? Yeah, we did. Lucas, Rico B, what's up, dudes? Hello to everyone. If you're new to the show, by the way, if you're new to the chat, this music therapy show started out of the Gear and Demo show and the Guitar Mod Squad show and whatever. I was trying to come up with ideas that have something to do with music and gear because I love music and gear. And I have gas, if you don't know that affliction. It's gear acquisition syndrome. Look around me here. Look at all this crazy stuff. Anyway, I'm trying to sell some of it. We've got one buyer so far. We've got the buyer of my Sterling HT50 in rose gold to our friend Alice Martinez in the chat. Alice, where are you, man? And then we got Mark's gas station also here. He knows all about gas, gear acquisition syndrome. Lucas of the guitar, well, the LNM Guitar Corner. And you guys are probably all hanging out at our buddies Seth and Charles's place, right? I hope they pop in as well. And we got Matt Stewart, my friend Matthew Stewart. William De Silva is still waiting for his string returner thing and other swag. Lots of people are waiting. There's Charles. There he is. Guitar Safari Raid. And
I
Johnny
gotta
Bean,
say,
of
I'm really
course.
enjoying the Guitar Safari show. It's a
Dude,
good time over there.
I always watch it after this. And then I
Nice.
gotta catch Pete's show, And it's hard to watch all these shows. I can't get it all in on a Sunday or a day. Like we have a lot of things planned for today, so I'm going to try to squeeze in as many shows as possible. You got the Metalhead Hippie Show, who, by the way, part of the topic for today. We'll bring it up in a second. But the Metalhead Hippie has a real good policy, and I like his policy. William De Silva, did we say it? We did say hi to you. Oh, power off. Is that Alexa talking to you over there, Janice?
It's my stupid sound thing.
Okay, no worries.
Speakers.
Yeah, I think it sounded pretty cute.
It's annoying.
Paul, it's annoying. Okay, Paul McNeary also giving us a happy face,
Oh,
and yeah, I think let's go back to the bottom.
Hobo Roadie.
Hobo Roadie
Yeah.
also here. Hobo Roadie. I noticed that in the chats. I noticed sometimes there's more than one Hobo Roadie, and then there's Black Jack. That is guitar. What's up, Black Jack? I love blackjack. I play blackjack
DC Rich, what's up, man?
at the casinos when I go. I usually win. Usually do. But slots are sometimes more fun. My favorite is the Wheel of Fortune, but it's not always the one that wins. And yeah, I think that's it, you guys. So whoever else pops in, we'll say hi to you as you pop in, and then come at us with your questions because we got answers. Because I couldn't think of a good topic today outside of the cyber bullying thing. Hold on, where's that sound? No, I don't have that scary sound. Anyway, well, cyberbullying. There's people like this there. Creepy people out there, right? Anyway, but in all just aside, I thought it would be good to bring this topic up because of some things that happened previously on a couple of my shows, and I just wanted to clear the air a little bit here. Had some ruffled feathers due to some actions taken upon some people that were in the chat making some comments,
I'm laughing at
and
the theory.
and I'm hoping that we can unruffle some feathers a little bit, or if the feathers are too ruffled and you don't want to take part of this part of the community or whatever you want to call the YouTube world. I think we all are in one big community of humans on this planet. So whatever little specific tribe or community thing you're creating for yourself is all well and good. But don't forget, we're all part of one big one. We're all one big human community here on this planet. And then we got the animals and plants and everything else.
Uh-oh. Laz is frozen.
Les,
you
what's
go.
up, John D? John ZD 351. Nice to see you, bro. There is this telescope out there that can see so much out there in the space, and so far still no evidence of other life. All right, maybe we're not able to see it. Our brains are too small. We're unable to verify because of the distances. Maybe the technologies haven't maybe we can't, whatever reason, we haven't found any life outside of our planet. And that's a big deal, man, because that means that right now this is it. And we should respect that. And one of those things about respecting that I think is being aware of the importance of life and how we treat each other. And so I think that's what, for me, I started this whole channel in the beginnings. I have interest in psychology, as does Brent. We both have big hearts and we want to help and do good things for people. And I think there's a lot of other people out there that are doing that too. And they have, I don't think anyone, okay, that's not true. There are some evil people. I was going to say, I don't think anyone's purely evil. There are some evil people that probably can never, turn back. It's the whole Star Wars kind of story about, Skywalker, Anakin being turned to the dark side. and at the very end, after so many lives and things being destroyed, he turns back. But the point being is that I think everyone has a chance and should be given a chance, and so I'm gonna enact on my show, because this is my show and I can enact whatever I want. I could quit and it's over. But what I thought I'd do is I'm gonna enact a rule. The rule's basically gonna be that whoever my moderators are, Johnny Bean or whoever, if there is disruption going on from whatever the topic of the show is supposed to be about, especially this one, because this show is about music is therapy, and it should be about the topic and what music is all about as a form of therapy. And we can talk about other, issues and things we can bring into the fold that doesn't have music as a main point of therapy, but that would be nice. But the bottom line is that if there's disruption going on and people are in the chat talking about something that takes away from what the topic is and maybe is kind of hijacking the chat or manipulating the chat or doing things that we don't appreciate, the moderators have the power to bring the hammer down and either time out those people for a little while or block them entirely from the show. And so what I'm thinking of doing is enacting a new rule, which is that we're going to time you out for a while, maybe a week or two, something like that. And if you don't understand, you can reach out to me. I'll discuss it with you. And if we can get some clarity as to what the issue was, and then if there's some understanding of going forward, being able to work things out together and being together as a community, we'll bring you back in, But then there's going to be a 3-strike rule, because at a certain point, I'm not going to get bullied either or manipulated into anything. And if my show grows or doesn't grow, it's not going to be because I allow anything goes. That definitely is not happening in this show. So, and I want people to feel secure and safe that they can have discussions in here and talk about things where they don't have to be in fear of being attacked or bullied by others, right? So that's a big part of why I'm talking to you all about this, and I want you all to understand my perspective on it. And my heart's in a good place. I don't have any ill will toward anyone. I think anyone at missteps might be willing to understand and make some behavioral modification to their comments and whatnot, right? But the bottom line is that if this 3 strikes rule, if I can follow it somehow, and do I have to keep a list? I don't know, but there's some way to follow that kind of a 3 strikes rule of sorts. It will be, 3 strikes and you're out. And I think I'm being a little bit more easygoing than some others, like Metalhead Hippie. I really like his perspective on this, and he basically makes it really clear. They've written songs about it. Don't be a what is the song. Starts with D, ends in K. Don't be a Richard. Yeah. Don't be one of those. If you are, there's no second chances. You could try to come back and try to spam and try to, create other accounts. They figure it out, and out you go every single time. So not too much energy is then spent on dealing with that kind of stuff, and it's gone. So I've said my piece on that. I don't know. You have any comment about that, Janice or Brent? Do you have any input on that?
Just go to keep myself calm here.
The only thing I'll say on it is that especially on this show, like you're saying, when people are trying to be a little more serious and try to open up about personal things, it's a little it can kind of hit you the wrong way when someone's making some comments that are just totally off the wall. It's like it's like, why am I even sharing this if someone doesn't care to listen? But that's obviously not the majority. That's just that was just a certain feeling. But it's like,
you're opening up and being vulnerable. The last thing you need is someone coming at you with something that all of a sudden, tears you down. So we definitely need to, be aware of these things. And I know people like to make fun and we're all brothers and blah, blah, blah. And I get that side of it too, But the bottom line is, especially on this show, at the other show, we could probably be a little bit more loose because that's about gear and we're guys and gals playing gear and we're rock stars or wannabe rock stars or whatever. And we all have egos and blah, 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 right? So there's a lot of that in other shows and on the Thursday show, and that's fine to some degree. But this show particularly, we're going to try to keep it clean. And I hope you guys all appreciate that, because if you do want to come on the show and you want to talk about your afflictions of any kind, eases. So when I say disease, I'm not talking about just a medical term of disease. I'm talking about something that makes you uncomfortable and makes you out of ease. It takes you out of being in ease as a human on this planet, as a person, right? So, oh, thank you so much. Oh, hey, you guys. Oh, Cushman's talking about the other show. Great show today, To Charles. Yes, indeed. I got to catch that show too.
Yeah, it was a good one.
So I'll open it up. If Janice or Brent, do you guys have any questions for
Ollie
me, or is there
Lewis,
anything you want to
what's up?
ask? And then we'll have people in the chat. Do you have?
Yeah, I
any
got a
questions?
question for you, Laz.
All right, man.
So, how are you feeling about 2 or 3 weeks into this purge idea now? Because you've kind of gone through the gamut of emotions of not wanting to and then getting excited about it. So, where are you at with it now?
Great question, Brent. So, well, I've got one item sold so far, and it's not any big ticket item, and it's a really nice guitar, and I'm fine with letting it go. I hardly, I hardly even played the thing. I was even thinking about giving it as a birthday or kind of a gift to one of my cousin's kid. So Rosie is her name, so a Rose guitar would kind of be adequate for her, but I think it's too big for her. She's too little still.
Okay.
And I thought, you know what I might do is get her like one of them little $100, some kind of like little mini Ibanez or something.
Totally.
One of those little mini dinky guitars. And there's a little amp that I
Jr.
have here. Yeah, exactly. Gem Jr. Give her this little PV amp I have over here that I think came from my brother Andy, or some friend of mine gave it to me. So I'll might have even been the intern, previously known as the intern Nick. So I might give that to her, and with a cable or cord or whatever, and go at it, kid. And then so Alice, I'm also making her one of these guitar hangers that I make. They're acoustic treated guitar hangers you can put on your wall and acoustically treat your room while hanging guitars. Isn't that novel? Anyway, I think it's a great idea. I call them Roxy's guitar hangers.
Hey, Laz, BC Rich 581's got an idea for you too. If you want to buy a gift for, you said your nephew,
where is it?
Niece.
My cousin's daughter's daughter. So I don't know what that. Yeah. Where's the idea? Can you put it up on the screen? I don't know.
I don't know. But he's saying the Ibanez Micro Series has really good reviews for starter gear.
Let's see, where is that? Oh yeah, okay. Yeah. I see. Okay, yeah. There you go. Absolutely, dude. I checked out a bunch of Ibanez stuff. I think it's Dan is their rep over there in Europe for the most part. I don't know if he's a rep here, but when I was at Hennings for Gear Street last year, that, by the way, is happening in about a week or so. So I would totally go to that again, but there's only so many vacation times you can take in a year.
You're doing that, man. You're living life, man. It's good.
Hey, Holly, what's up, man? Oh yeah, this is great news that Ryan's son is in Japan, going to be teaching English. Which is really
teaching now. He just finished up school and now he's teaching.
So yeah, so we'll answer. Lucas has a question here, so we'll answer his question next. But to finish answering your question, I have to start listing and putting some of this stuff up for sale on the various mediums that we talked about last time. So I'm feeling good about it, dude. I have so many guitars that I want to be playing, and I'm not playing them all. A lot of these guitars are not being played, and I want to set up this studio so it's functioning the way I want it to function. Later today, as a matter of fact, I'm taking the drum set to my sister's so she could play it. She's getting back into drumming, which I'm really excited about, because then we can go hang out at her garage.
Yeah, man.
I can help her maybe soundproof that thing, and we can, go in there and make some noise. Hopefully not get her kicked out of the association or whatever. She owns a condo, but there's an association. There's probably rules. But right now she's got her old drum set, acoustic one, set up in her living room upstairs. So you can imagine the neighbors are loving her. But yeah, I'm feeling good about it. I just want to get some of this stuff done, like action, take action on the sale of these things.
Yeah.
So yeah. So back to Lucas's question here. Laz, do you think that making music yourself is better form of therapy than listening to music? I think that participating in music in any form, especially if you are playing music, I think that it's a better better form of therapy than actually just listening. When you're actually in the act of music creation, I think there's something to be said to the feeling of having created something, or having that feeling of music. Like even Edward Van Halen and many others talk about how music just comes through them. And I feel that way about music when I'm writing music. There's an idea, I kind of help form it, and sometimes I have help from other people, and then together we form music together, right? But there's something about
Hopefully.
that, right?
I do
Yeah,
think
right.
the exception, although I agree with you for the most part, I do think the exception is live music. When you go see a concert and there's
Mm-hmm.
thousands of people there, and it's just it's a different experience than just
Right.
listening to it on a record, or whatever. So,
And there are
um,
people that have gotten a sense of therapeutic, you know, therapy from going to an event of that sort. Even deaf people go to dances and they dance hearing the beat and the rhythm,
yeah, because
So
you can still feel it. Absolutely.
absolutely. So you do, like you said, when you're playing music with others, you feel their vibe, you're connecting with them. So that connection that music
That's what
brings
I was gonna
about.
say about
Yeah.
that, is that when you're writing music for, like, if you're making music by yourself, it can be a little bit lonely sometimes, That's why it's like, when you're writing music just alone and doing that, it can be a little isolating at times because you're having a hard time putting it all together sometimes. And then when it comes to sharing it, maybe people aren't as high on it as you thought people would be. And so it's like it can be a little hard, but that's why the listening side of it is therapeutic too, because you can just sit back and relax and just be there, and someone else is taking you on that journey that is taking you somewhere and having you experience certain feelings or emotions or whatever.
Right. Right.
It's like sometimes, I just playing in the room over there, and I leave the room, and it's right back to life. It's
Right.
like, I don't know if there's any real uh, uh, residual effect when I'm playing by myself, and even like even when I'm out at an open mic, it's just frustrating, and it's like.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of
Yeah.
hard to really just to decide, what's good and what's bad.
So I think the answer to Lucas's question here would be that I think it's different. I think that one's not better than another form of therapy. But let's say you do have some kind of a disease that you, or something that's, you've got something that you're dealing with. There might be certain therapies that are more therapeutic for a specific issue, for a specific disease, or some kind of anxiety, or you know that kind of thing. Maybe there are different forms of therapy and music therapy. Some might be listening, like with
Well, yeah, and it depends on what you're
Alzheimer's.
going through, like you're saying.
Yeah, Alzheimer's, for example, what really will wake up the brain of a patient and bring them like back to life and talking to everyone, and to all of a sudden not zoning out, like my dad played the music of their childhood or era that they love, played their music that they grew up with, and then all of a sudden they're telling stories about that time, and then they start recognizing people and talking about stuff.
Well, just you saying that, I
So
got to bring up playing for your dad, man. When we played that song,
right,
a couple songs for your dad, like you can see it, the light in his eyes, man.
right, he
He
just woke
brightened
up.
up.
Yeah,
Yeah,
wasn't that great?
it was awesome, man. It was really cool.
Yeah. And like for PTSD and soldiers and people like that, being part of a group and playing together in a group is really important, because I think when you do have depression and anxiety, you tend to shut down. Like what Michael B was talking about, shutting himself down in his room in the basement there, and was basically, just isolating, and he thought he was doing something, good, which was the music, but actually, that was just, I guess, maybe a distraction, or wasn't really helping him. He
Isolating
was,
never helps. It's a hard
yeah.
thing. It feels like it's the right thing to do
Mhm.
sometimes, but it doesn't help.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think for me, like when I was younger, I used to go to the piano to escape from everyone because I have a big family, a big boisterous
Yeah.
family, and sometimes you just want to get away from everyone and just
Yeah, I mean, okay, so
yeah.
isolating is one thing, but
Mhm.
that to me is
Mhm.
like days and
Right.
weeks on end of not communicating. But if you're just giving yourself a break, that's not isolating.
Yeah.
That's just
Right.
that's just taking a breath,
Me,
you
Exactly.
know.
I haven't left the house since Thursday.
See, Janice is isolating. Isolate.
I haven't talked to
Uh,
any person at all since Thursday
in person, or like,
in
is this the
person.
first time you've communicated with other humans?
Yes.
Hey, Rock Daddy, what's up, dude? Well, I'm glad that
Daddy.
you're here then, Janice, because it's a healthy thing to be connected with people. And I keep telling you, man, I think YouTube is great, but another part about what I also put into the description, if you guys haven't read that pre-show or whatnot, is I do have a couple links there about cyberbullying, cyberbullying.gov or something like that, and then there's another one about social media and its addictiveness. And so be careful, because some of this can be a little unhealthy.
Yeah, at the
Oh
end
my
of the
god.
day, too, when it comes to
Mm.
cyberbullying and that kind of stuff, you just can't let you know basically words from a stranger bother you. That's number one. You got to
Mhm.
just not let that stuff bother you. And number two, it's like these people are hiding behind computers and stuff.
That's true too.
You got to consider the source. You got to.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not like these people are coming up to you and saying these things, because that would be a totally different thing. If you had people
Right.
harassing you on the daily, telling you you're not worth anything, and it's like that's tough to live through. But then when you can turn the computer off. You could turn them to the side and
Yeah.
just ignore them or whatever. But
That's a thing that Johnny Bean always tells me, is he's always reminding me, because he's been doing this a long time. And he's been there, done that, seen this and that. He's seen it all. It's all happened to him
yeah,
already more than once. Okay. So
yeah,
when he does cut the cord on someone quick, it's because he's got years of experience and he can see it coming. He could
yeah,
just see it happening.
yeah,
And it does actually happen, and he sees it coming. He sees it happening. And his point is, to me, Laz, you don't know anybody out there. They could be totally pretenders. You
yeah,
don't really know who they really are. And that's why he calls me his real friend, because we've met, we've talked about other things, than what's online, and we've gotten to know each other personally as people. And there is something to be said, like what you were talking about, that you can use this veil here, this internet veil, anonymous kind of, a lot of people are very anonymous out there too. They don't even want to show themselves, and
mm,
sometimes that's not nefarious in any way. Sometimes it's because they work in a job where they can't be on social media. You work in the banking industry or investing or a lawyer or anything like government like that, whoa, you got to be careful, because even if you don't say anything wrong, you could say something and people can piece that together using AI and create some context and wreck you know so you have to really watch out nowadays, especially with the advent of artificial intelligence, and how powerful it is as a tool to do all this kind of stuff. You can use it in very nefarious ways. And we've seen, how social media was used to affect elections, just like in the past, newspapers were used to affect elections. Information is always data on whatever side of the political spectrum you're on, doesn't really matter. Information is constantly being used, propaganda or whatever is always being used to push people around. It's tough sometimes to be, you have to be pretty informed and open-minded, and at the same time have some pretty good critical thinking skills, which
NPN.
unfortunately is
What's
not
up, Holly?
taught enough. Hey dude, what's up? Unfortunately isn't taught enough in school today. All the information that you learn in school, and to be able to put that information together and think critically and use that information in some way to help yourself. And how many times have you guys heard, I'll pose this question to the chat and to you two, how many times have you heard from people, oh, I wish they taught that in school, they didn't teach that in school, they should be teaching that in school?
Yeah, I mean,
Like, how do you
my whole life.
like balance your checkbook, right? You have heard that, like, why don't they teach how to invest your money in school? Have you guys heard those kinds of things being said by all kinds of smart people out there, right? Well, in my opinion, they do teach you that in school, but they don't specifically go, oh, this is how you go to the Charles Schwab website and invest in stocks. They don't tell you that, because that would be, could be construed as manipulating you towards one particular thing. So they're teaching you general education, and you're supposed to take that general information and education and then put it together into something that you can then use to understand the world around you and make good decisions. But they should definitely have a class about critical thinking and and things like, like philosophical things, that not like philosophy, like deep philosophy, but I
Just
mean like,
logic
yeah,
classes.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, how to discern, a red herring from, the fact, how to discern real information
Yeah, I can't
from
tell you
fact,
how many
right?
arguments I see online that I could just
Yeah,
tear apart because I've taken those classes.
because
It's
you
like
understand how to
they're so obvious. They're
deduce,
like,
you know how to critically think about a subject, and
yeah,
you
and
know how to ask a question that makes someone go, and they have no answer for it because they haven't thought about it, right?
yeah.
So I think that's part of what we
A lot
see
of people
happening
put
in the
together
social
things
media
that
too.
sound good. They don't think them out of how they'd actually be actively applied.
Right. Yeah. And then there's the egos, and there's, people of authority and people that do have knowledge and power sometimes get high up on their horse. My sweetie and I watched Goodwill Hunting the other night just because she wanted to watch it because she couldn't remember. Did I see this movie or not? I'm like, you never saw Goodwill Hunting? Like, come on, honey. We watched that, I'm sure, when so we watched Goodwill Hunting, and it's one of my favorite movies, especially, the character that Robin Williams plays, this,
That's better.
distraught psychologist teacher, who's a brilliant person. And not only does he help this kid, but the kid helps him. And my favorite line that I use it all the time, it's not your fault. However, like what the kid was starting to realize is once he stuck it in his face, and even the kid stuck it into his face too, that once, you are aware, and now you're not asleep, and you're aware of the situation or the thing, that's whatever the problem is. Now all of a sudden you have to take a big chunk out of the big R. You have to take a bite down on responsibility and be responsible with that knowledge, and a lot of people are flippantly like children. They're like, no, I don't have to if I don't want to be responsible, and they just have their little tantrums. And I've had those. I have them probably at least once a week, coming to terms with the reality of your life and where you're at and where you want to be. And it's okay that you're not there yet. That's the whole thing. It's not your fault, you know but you can take steps to making something happen, right? Make things better. So that's why I'm doing this show, you guys. So I'd love to see some more questions from the chat. Does anyone else have? Because we have answers. We don't know if they're good, but we have answers.
We'll pretend like we do anyway.
Yeah. Someone's gotta have answers.
John ZD351, he was saying that people aren't going to educate. Basically, they're not going to educate you to the point where you can overthrow them. So it's a power struggle too. Which
Very true.
There's an element of that for sure. My thing with
Mhm.
school that always bugged me was the fact we live in a republic, but they don't teach us the laws. It's like, how does that make any sense? You got to follow all the laws, but we're not going to tell you what they are. It's like
that's a really good point. As a matter of fact, so that's a good question if you want to pose that in a question form. But yeah. So how do you follow the law if you don't know what the laws are, right? That's the question. So I would say that as a citizen, I think that the responsibility falls on you to know what the laws are, and that's being a participant.
They charge you $100,000 a year to go to school to learn what the laws are. It's not like,
and that's why I love that movie.
accessible.
What I love about that movie is what that guy says, to like the professor in one scene where, I just went to the library and I'm reading all these books and I'm learning all this stuff. So, and I've said this to my nephews and nieces and young people today, the millennial generation, or what do you want to call this BS? The information's out there, and the good information's out there, and not all the information is going to be good. So if you get enough information and start kind of putting pieces together, you should start to understand, these things. And as a citizen, I mean, in the old days, you guys know the history of the United States to some degree. I'm sure everyone in the chat has taken some
I
history
gotta get a drink.
of the
I'll be right
United
back.
States. Go ahead. One of the things that we learned in history is that early citizens that voted had to be landowners. Why? Well, for one, that meant that they were educated. Because you're not going to get to the point of owning land if you don't have some knowledge and education on how to hold that land, keep that land, do whatever you need to, right? So people had businesses where, they dealt with using their land as part of their business in agriculture or whatever, right?
Well, when this country was first being started, there was a big debate on whether or not they were going to allow essentially dumb people to vote.
Right.
It was like there was a big debate about that.
So that changed over time, and part of that had a lot to do with how some of those people that had that power were using that power and abusing other sectors or classes of society, right? So they opened it up, and they opened it up more to other men than to foreigner people. You have to become a citizen. Black people or people of color got a right to vote before women did. And then women were finally emancipated of that and were finally allowed to have a voice as well. And now we have it all the way down to the age of 18, which you could call an adult at 18, but I would disagree.
I got an out there question for you, Laz.
Hey,
this is something I saw on
after
YouTube.
21, everything is all on the table.
Everything's on everything to a degree of being about the topic of music and therapy and
Absolutely.
and things that matter, I guess. But yeah,
Music,
I got a question.
therapy.
I saw this on YouTube. This girl was talking. There was a girl talking about this, how the women getting the right to vote is part of the issue, part of the reason why the family structure is falling apart, is because now you have 2 votes in one house instead of just one that they decide on, essentially. What do you think about that perspective? And like I said, that came from a female. I was just curious what you thought about that.
well, so that's a perspective that comes from a patriarchal way of thinking about men being the smartest, who should be in control of everything, because somehow being a man means that you should be the power and head of the household and control all things. And I wholeheartedly disagree with that. Just by looking at the history of almost every patriarchal society and group, there are problems. And I can go right to religion. If we want to go at any religion that has a patriarchal system where the men are in charge, there are problems. And the reason why I think it doesn't work is because if you have 2 adult people like you have in a household, right? If you can't come to some agreement on, like, when you get married, you guys agree to be with each other, right? And to share your responsibilities. Well, the sharing of that responsibility also means sharing the power of those decisions that are going to be made in that relationship, and that then should work outward everywhere. I think men who are afraid of women having some power or control in the relationship have some problems. I think they have some issues with being able to share that power. If they can't share that power with their wife, how can they share that power with others and with their children and teach them?
Especially when they own, especially when the woman owns the house.
There you go, Janice.
But that's why I brought up that question from the perspective of a female saying that, because obviously from a man saying that, yeah, I agree with you, man. If you got a problem with your girlfriend, wife, whoever having equal power in the relationship, you got problems, man, for sure.
And let me ask you this: is that female person in a patriarchal or cultural, social, religious kind of? Are they living, or are they in that type of orientation in their life? In other words, are they a Mormon, or are they a Christian, or someone that's maybe fundamentalist, or are they part of a group or organization where that is their patriarchal system? Is that person in that kind of a system, or are they outside of that?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I'm trying to think. The person I'm talking about her parents were educated and did well and all that kind of stuff, but I can't remember if they were religious or not. I know they weren't Mormon, but they could have been Christian. I can't remember.
Yeah, Hobo Rody brings up here the Islamic, religions have, a patriarchal system, and they respect that, So here's my thing. I think that there's something to be said with.
By the way, I don't agree with her.
Yeah, I know. It was a really good question. It's a great topic. I think that that human beings, one of our biggest struggles emotionally, behaviorally, physiologically, even it's part of our DNA. This is something I studied in what's called psychological biology. From the very beginnings of our evolution, we started out as an organism that reacted to its environment, right? And then we evolved further and further to, the apex predator, or whatever you want to call us, the most intelligent, beings that we think we are on the planet, because we can communicate and build and recreate our environment to fit us, rather than living in the environment in peace with it, like octopi and like whales and like other very intelligent creatures. We have the ability to form our environment to fit what we need it to be, and that's why we're overrunning the world. But the bottom line is that when you have, what's the best way to put it? When you still have part of the old brain there. So the amygdala and all this, the Abdullah Oblongata, if you guys remember the movie. Some of those parts of our brain is the old part of our functioning brain, and it can affect us in our behavior and thinking, and those things kind of work together. Sometimes the thinking can affect the behavior, sometimes the behavior can affect the thinking. There was this talk I was watching. This guy has like this I think his show is called Diary of a CEO, and he does a talk show kind of podcast where he has the brilliant people in the world, and they talk and they ask questions of each other and whatnot. And one of the questions, that came up had something to do with this very topic, right? And the point is that the guy said, if I wanted to raise your hormone level right now, I could raise your hormone level. You could not control me raising your hormone level. I could raise it like that right now. And he's like, how could, he's like, I could just start attacking you verbally and yelling at you. And even if you knew that I'm not really doing it, that it's all an act, it would still raise your hormone levels, because your body will react to this as a threat, because we physiologically, the fight or flight response and all this, it's part of our physical system that's unconscious or subconscious, or whatever you want to call it. It's behavioral. So a lot of times people will behave and react to a situation that's going on. Like when I first went down to Peru visiting my sweetie's family, they're like yapping at each other, like bah, 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 bah. I'm like, man, I can't take you guys. Sounds like you are arguing. What's going on? And they're like, oh no, we're just having a conversation. I'm like, what? Sounds like you guys are about to, get bats out and start whacking at each other, because it sounds like, but that's how they communicate. That's how they talk. And I'm like, oh my God, I just being in the room is stressful. I need to get out of here, because it's like, it sounds like they're fighting, but they're like, no, we're just talking. I'm like, what? So that's the thing, is that, it's not so cut and dry. We're not just one individual person, by the way. We're not just one body, by the way. We're a symbiotic creature with all kinds of other microorganisms in us. Those things affect us in our thinking too, by the way. For example, if you're on some kind of drug or medication or anything that can affect your thinking, you're not going to think the same way if that thing's not affecting you. So who are you in the first place? Who are you in the first place? Like right now, I'm having coffee, right? First cup. After my second cup, guarantee you I'm a lot more zingy than the first cup.
Definitely. That's why I don't drink coffee, man. I get wired. I just start shaking.
I remember one time giving Johnny a cup of my coffee, and he was like, whoa, man.
I don't know what I do if I have to give it up. Right.
Well, I think it was Dr. Dita Dell, one of my favorite doctors, radio show guy, and on TV here in the Bay Area. He said, it's the drug of my choice, and I know it's a drug, It's my favorite drug. I have no problem using it. I love it. I love Pete Thorne too. He's like, gotta have my coffee, get me going, Yeah, Lucas, right? So Lucas, you're popping in with
This
some
is
good
my
topics
coffee.
here.
These little energy
Right.
drinks.
But Jimmy Ray Hawkins, is that a
Sugar.
question up there? Can't imagine another life, different life,
Supposedly.
scary, insecure, content, happy, resolve. Right. So yeah, these guys are having a chat with each other, which is really, really good. I love that. So yeah, Guitar Man says that I've been married to my wife for 35 years. Could not imagine life without her. Like in
That's
the movie, Good Will Hunting. And that's an interesting title too when you think about it. The guy's name is Will Hunting, and the movie's called Good Will Hunting. So it's kind of a play on words, obviously. And those guys were brilliant putting that screenplay together, right? But wow, just the title itself is, you can dig into that. They're looking for the goodwill, right? But they're looking for goodwill, and they're hunting for it. But his name's Will Hunting. Anyway, I thought that was cool. But yeah, so Jimmy Ray Hawkins is replying kind of in a way to Guitar Man's comment here about being in this happy marriage and not imagining life without. And isn't that wonderful when you have a relationship and a marriage, and in whatever context, societal, cultural, if you can find a way to respect each other. And I'm not bashing in any way, shape, or form any religion or any way of structuring how to live and function in a society or a group, right? I'm just saying that I don't think the patriarchal system is the only way to go, and sometimes when other cultures and other systems headbutt against each other, there can be problems, and that's why we have wars, which suck.
There's also the alpha male too.
Yeah, the alpha male thing, and there's alpha women too. There's room for us all, is my perspective. But I don't think that one or another is necessarily better or worse. I've taken a lot from a lot of different religions and philosophies of life and try to apply all those things to how I try to live mine. And I'm not perfect in living the perfect life by any shape or form, but I think we all have the right to do that, right? So Lucas brings up something about, like I was talking about the flora and the stomach is like a second brain. There's a lot of interesting science going into this stuff nowadays, you guys. So early on, like 20 years or so ago, there was a doctor that was trying to talk about this stuff in local radio here. I remember on the local Pacifica radio station or something. Pacifica is like a little town on the coast. There's a lot of like holistic kind of stuff on that show, on those shows, and so they would allow for a lot of things, and everyone was laughing at this guy, basically just making him out to be like the complete joke that he's got all these crazy ideas, but now it's starting to, as science is getting better at discovering these things on a different level, and there's more data, now we're finding out more about this stuff. And there's some truth to how our body is not just, these separate compartment little parts like in a machine,
Mm-hmm.
The way that our neurological system works with our lymphatic system, which works with our blood and the blood pressure and the sugar, everything else that's going on. I mean, all those things affect how your entire system functions.
I'll know a lot more about this in about 3 months because I'm taking a biopsychology class this
semester. I call it psychobiology. I think it's funny to call it that.
Biopsych.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's some new stuff because it's been more than 10 years since I last read that book, and that book is that thick, and that big. And that's just the first class, So, yeah, if you get bitten by the brain chemistry, neuropsychology stuff, bro, wow, yeah, get ready for reading. Because
I like reading. Yeah. I enjoy reading. I just sometimes
awesome.
I just don't. Yeah. I don't like stuff when it's super dense and boring, and I don't like stuff when it's really out there fantasy wise. I like something that's, real.
Yeah. Rock Daddy says he has 4 Mormon sisters that are really good at letting their husbands think they're in charge, but the sister doing the steering. Well, but the man gets to choose whichever one he wants to sleep with, and I wonder how they feel about that as they get older and the husband's picking a new wife because the new wife is younger. Yeah, I've seen that side of it too.
That's
and I
so
tell you,
sad.
they're not so happy, and they're just doing the chores that they have to do and taking care of. But yeah, uh, I wouldn't want my daughter in one of those relationships, but that's her decision. I don't think she'll pick that though.
What has
Anyway.
age got to do with anything?
Yeah. Well, you know, there you go. That goes back to, again, that primal behavior that may not necessarily always be the best for large groups of humans. So think about it this way: primates like gorillas in the mist in Africa. If you ever watched anything about how they are and how they work as groups, they have their territories. They go around with the leader of the group. They usually go around those territories and keep those territory boundaries intact. And then you have the apex leader of the guerrilla group, and he is basically, there's a political system where he's got his buddies that are backing him up, but then there's always the younger ones looking to try to make their way up to the top of the ladder, and then they can be the apex leader of the group, and they can then pick whichever female they want, right? So it's very much this Darwinian kind of group situation, right? It's probably like at the lowest level of a tribal situation that you might see, if you want to put it like as human beings, right? Human beings have taken it to a different level where we have a more deeper sense of communicating. So if any of you've read Animal Farm or these are all fictions, but which are really written to make you critically think about human groups. or Catcher in the Rye, or what's the Flies one? It's slipping my mind, but the one on the island. Anyway, but the point is Lord of the Flies. Yeah. And then there's other really interesting books too. But the bottom line is that those very basic kind of we have to survive kind of groups, it's at that very basic level. And then as we become better at creating a social structure in society where there's a lot more of us, that social and cultural kind of structure has to change. It has to evolve to allow more of us to be part of that controlling structure, because you can't have just one apex guy running it all. So now there's more of us, and then we have to all kind of spread that responsibility and that power around a little bit, and it gets more and more complex, right? And so when it comes to, again, the question about females and males and all that, at that most basic level, yeah, the male should be in charge in that basic female-male survival structure, because it's dog eat dog. It's the jungle, baby. It's basically survival there. You have to keep your territory and survive in that territory. And if you can be the apex predator in that territory, you can control and keep your group safe. But there's a certain territory, and there's only so many of you there can be in that territory, and so it's minimal and it's basic. But humans, because of our evolution and our brains and our technology and communication and everything and science and technology, blah, 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 we've gotten to a level where we have to really spread that around, because we got to all get along. And there's a lot of us that are just as smart as the other guy or smarter or whatever. And so everyone's fighting and vying for that control. But you see it at the level of the top 1-2% out there too. It's never enough. It's about power. And the power is part of their primal basic instinct. It's to be that apex, top of the heap guy. And they can never be satisfied with where they're at, because there's always someone else trying to one-up them. And it's part of their primal behavior.
The rest of our society were ones that knew how to use their power, not just the ones that knew how to get the power. The ones that really progressed society knew what to do with that power.
Yeah, and they saw the benefit for not just themselves. And so it wasn't about just them. They saw that, okay, if we can set up a structure here where we can all function, well together, it'll benefit me. It'll benefit then
Exactly. That's what
my
it's really
family
all
structure.
about. That's what it's
Yeah,
all about. Is if we
absolutely.
could all basically be our best to help each other be their best,
Mhm.
then we're collectively going to just be a better group of people.
Yeah. And then maybe we'll be ready for the aliens to come down and fold us into the
Well, we got the
Federation.
weapons. That's for sure.
Except when you're the
I don't
black
know if
sheep
we
of
have
the
the
music
brains yet.
community. Except for when you're the black sheep of the local music community.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you brought up the black sheep thing, because I love the black sheep thing. So one of the things that you're going to also learn about in when you're, psychology studies is the Darwinian black sheep thing. Okay, when the environment changes, it's good to be the black sheep sometimes, because you're going to be the one that's not going to follow all the other sheep and maybe end up going off the cliff because there's a wolf dressed up as a sheep and he's taking you right over the cliff, so the rest of the wolves at the bottom of the cliff can easily eat you. But the black sheep, is not going to be in that group because they oust the black sheep because he's black and he sticks out, right? So he's got a deformation or a mutation that makes him different. But maybe that mutation is the very thing that makes could be the thing that helps the group survive. And that's a very interesting part of Darwinian, evolution, is how mutation occurs on purpose. Like all this stuff with autism and, Asperger syndrome, maybe that's not the bad thing. Some of these people are these smart people that figured out things that took us to the next level of intellectual, ability, technology, right? So yeah, they might be the one that you would put in a closet because they're the weirdo, but maybe you got to find a way to understand how they're thinking, and they'll help you. Just like, I forget the lady's name, but she has Asperger's and she helped people, farmers and stuff, understand how to deal with animals. Forget her name, but there she is, someone that we would in the past have tucked away in the closet and said, you're weird, be away from us, or is now helping us do other things better, So anyway, so the black sheep.
Rock Daddy says aliens are from the inner Earth, not space. That explains why they always crash their ships into Earth, as they're from here. They don't know how to fucking fly.
And octopus ears will end the show on that F word there. No, I'm kidding. Just kidding. Yeah, maybe we're not ready yet, and they're keeping us in the dark. That could be. I mean, or this could all just be one big simulation, and we are actually, our own little, we're wearing visors right now. We don't even know it, but that's why we're looking at all this wonderful galaxy and the world and universe, and no matter how far we look, we're always not seeing anything else because we're the only thing. Well, maybe that's because we are not even in a real reality. So there's all that.
There's this sphere that I saw that looks like almost like the Terminator guy. It's like a
Terminator.
The Terminator image that he had.
Yeah. Yeah.
The sphere that went down into the ocean. Some people saw it recently. Like maybe this theory about the inner Earth aliens are correct.
Well, I think that I love to hear Neil deGrasse Tyson talk about these things, these sightings and these things, because one of the things that is great about real scientists who really actually study things and try to find actual evidence and proof of things is that undeniably there hasn't been any undeniable true proof of any alien anything. It's all unidentified.
Well, no, there's been proof of alien life, but just not anything intelligent. They found like little plants and little bullshit, microorganisms
on asteroids even.
So it's like, that's why it's like, to me, it's there's other life out there. It's just a matter of how far away it is and how intelligent it is and how different it is from us or whatever. It's like there's life out there. It's just a matter of if they got spaceships and all that kind of shit. Who knows, but to me, there is life out there. There is.
This is a good question and answer. Holly asks, and then you answer right away. My question by simulation is, why would we have to sleep? And then Octopus here's right back at with that. That's proof we're in a simulation. We need to recharge our batteries.
And they're even saying that we are the aliens. That the aliens came down and formed us. So we are actually the descendants of the aliens. That's what I've seen.
Yeah, there's the ancient alien thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, there's another guy as well. I forget his name, but he's a doctor, whatchamacallit, of archaeological stuff. And we were watching one of his things the other day. And there's an entire series, I think on Netflix or something about, or on YouTube or whatever, where he's trying to piece together that there was I guess, a species of giants, of human giants, that had, higher level of understanding and technologies, and they understood the stars and everything in very specific, locations and whatnot that would be difficult without certain devices or math that doesn't seem to be evident in any of the ancient writings that we do have.
Anunnaki? The Anunnaki?
Yeah, right. The Anunnaki. Maybe that's good.
Yeah. The Nephilim.
It could be that could be who they are, the Anunnaki. But the point is that this ancient, I guess, peoples were global. They had technology that was able to get them global. But at the last ice age and the last, I guess, there was the big flood that was like in almost every society and culture around the world. There's stories of this great flood from back around the same time. Noah's Ark to whatever, even in, like the Andes and stuff. And that after this happened, there was this, giant bearded type person that came and gave them knowledge on how to farm, build, and, rebuild society. So there might have been a species of what we have evolved from, these smaller sized humans that were being assisted by this species of bigger humans. Maybe their or species, whatever. Maybe their technology was different than ours. Who knows? But there's no direct evidence. So that's the thing, is that the evidence is pieced together by mythological stories and ideas. And you can take any kind of. Have you ever done the tell a story around a circle thing? It changes. By the time it gets back around, you pass 15, 20 people. It's a whole different story. So you can take all kinds of information and create a story out of it. Doesn't mean that story that you're telling is the actual facts of what happened. So that's another thing. Hey, Jeff Davidson, what's up, dude? So, we're pretty much at the end of the hour, you guys. And I promised my sweetie that I'm going to end it near pretty much an hour. So if there aren't any last minute questions, I hope you guys, if you weren't here at the beginning of the show, catch the first 5 minutes or so where we talk about cyberbullying, social media, some of the concerns there, and some issues that we've had in our shows as well. And hopefully we won't have any more. I did want to end on that one where we were talking pre-show about a guy that I became friends with, and then he disappeared from the internet, and probably for good reason. And I'm sure he's probably happy. Hopefully he's happier with his life and what's going on. But Phil Mosley had a show called, what was it called? Something music, Phil Mosley's Music or something, right? And he did all kinds of backing tracks and all kinds of other stuff. And he was like a small show, and really talented guy. Put a lot of effort into the YouTube thing. But then, people are people, and it got a little bit too much for him, and he bailed. And he was also friends with another YouTuber who was starting out doing YouTube stuff, putting out music, and very talented singer and whatnot. Chicken Guitars, remember her?
Caitlin.
Chicken Guitar, yeah, Caitlin. And she, at the same time, they both disappeared. So whatever happened, maybe there was something going on in personal lives that forced them to say, hey, I got to get out of this social media thing. But I remember for Phil, his last post was a cover of the song Toxicity by 9 Inch Nails. And that wasn't accidental. So for him, I think the social media thing, you have to have a thick skin for it. I always talk to everyone. Johnny Bean definitely has a thick skin, and sometimes he's wears it too much on his sleeve. I think a little bit, and it's been a little bit overly jaded. But maybe not. Maybe he's right. Maybe he's dead on, and that you got to be defensive and careful and be careful who you let in, to your personal life, because you don't know who people are out there on social media. He's been stalked. He's had death threats. So when people get that weird on you, man.
Yeah, but the difference for me is you should still be open-minded enough to give people a chance. But if they ruin that chance, then
sure,
that's it. That's how I look at it.
And yeah, and so far, pretty much, my perspective with Johnny's experience and his decisions as a moderator, he's been pretty much right on the ball for the most part when it comes to where he sees it going.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I warned him too. I said, but at the same time, you might nudge people in that direction too, Johnny. So be careful that you don't push them that direction either. But it's still on them to decide to go that direction, But the bottom line is that certain people have been blocked, and I might, do this new rule in this show, especially where, if you overstep overstep the rules in the sense that, we all kind of know what's kind of bullying and bad behavior. And if we recognize it in the chat, then we will warn those people maybe. And then like what Metalhead Hippie does, he just says goodbye, bye-bye forever. I'm not going to do that. We might give you a timeout for a week or two and open you back come into the shows if you want to be part of them. If you don't want to, that's fine. But there might be something like a 3 strikes rule kind of a thing, where if you keep it up and you keep, kind of certain comments and things that are not appreciated in the chat, then we'll say bye-bye forever too, and that's sad. Also, I really don't want that in my show. I want it to always be open for someone to come back. And that's why I have my contact information in the description. And I was contacted by some people that got blocked, and we had a discussion about it. And I wasn't even enlightened enough to know about the whole subject about why, but I did learn what it's all about. And I agreed with Johnny on the reasoning there. But he is overly protective and stuff sometimes. And sometimes the other people's reactions are that too. So go ahead, Jan.
Also, remember that we have community guidelines to be respectful.
Yeah, I gotta post that up somewhere on my show too. I asked Johnny to help me out with some of these things, so he will give me some time to do that. I'm sure he's been helping a lot of other people with stuff, like lately helping Robbie set up his recording and all kinds of stuff like that, so he can record some of his music. Yeah, that's Guitar Man. That was Chicken Picks and Phil Mosley. Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So
maybe
can't we all just
outside.
get along? Yeah, we can, but it's not always easy, and that's okay. That's the human experience, man. That's part of why we're here. Yeah, we're here to experience this life, and we're here to help each other through it, man. I really honestly believe that.
Yeah, and thanks for everybody hanging out today. It was a lot of fun. Had a good time today, and everybody's really
Jeff,
really cool.
Watch it. Mm-hmm. And if you have some other questions and you guys want to do maybe I'll do this Q&A thing once a month, because it's kind of a fun thing to bring in different topics. Didn't talk too much about the social media bullying and social media dysfunctioning and other issues around social media, so maybe we'll go a little bit deeper in that. But I did put a couple links in the description that can take you to more information about that. Help discover if you're a cyber bully yourself.
Rock William.
It's right there.
It's like expression.
Yeah, absolutely,
we
William.
have met the enemy, and he is us. Something
yeah,
like that.
exactly.
Worst
right, Janice?
And stuff like that sometimes.
Absolutely, Janice. Let's end it on that. Janice.
That's Jimmy Ray Hawkins also has a really good point too, I gotta say.
Yeah, man.
It takes practice, man. You gotta work to being a better person.
Exactly, man. And I really respect hey Alice, I really respect those who reached out to me regarding the blockage and all that stuff last time around. and we'll work on this, and hopefully we can all be friends. But yeah,
I'll
the
tell you
point
one
being
thing.
is that
It was brutal.
Hey, Alice.
It was
yeah,
brutal
yeah,
and
Janice
necessary.
basically, it was there was a necessity to the blockage, right? Because the
Absolutely
comments and the attitudes was pretty hateful or brutal
horrible.
or pretty horrible. So Johnny had to do what he had to do. So until next time, you guys, Music Therapy LAZ reminding you that the secret to tone, which I just came up with that. I stole parts of this from like Steve Vai and other people. Like he talks about that kind of stuff too. But the secret to tone is in your mind, right? But the feel comes from your heart. Put them together with your friends, with some musical gear and some equipment. Make some music. Music therapy, right? Music is therapy. And rock on. And don't forget, later today, I think it is, who's got a show? I think Pete's got a show.
Pete Thorne, yeah.
Johnny's got his
And
ASMR show.
ASMR.
Oh, speaking of that, hold on. I was going to do this for you guys. Let me end on this. So this is kind of an ASMR kind of a thing. I gotta get the little knife out. I got one of these multi-tools. They're kind of nice. If I could find the blade part of it. There it is. That's what I need right there. Hopefully I don't chop my fingers off. Somebody sent me a package.
Oh.
I'll do an unboxing for you guys. Okay. Hopefully it's not filled with anthrax.
That'd be a big old box of anthrax. Dang.
I know, right? Here, I'm gonna solo me. All right, here we go. Should I do the? Should I do this? I'm kidding.
It's the bomb. It's the bomb.
It's the bomb. I want to go watch that Oppenheimer movie. Speaking of the bomb. Oh, let's see. What is it? Oh my god. Okay. All right. Let's see. There's nothing really weird and personal. Oh my goodness. Somebody sent me something. I think it's an interface. It says Little Labs, unique, sonically superior pro audio tools for the 21st century. I think this might be from our friend Hoborodi.
Dang.
Let's see. It says LAZ can't quite get it together to send the bridge toll or the various Celestians right now. Yeah, it's him. Unavoidable circumstances. Sorry, this is something you need in your studio. I don't even record stuff, but I have dozens. A dozen excuse me, red eyes and other bits. So he doesn't sign it because he knows I know. It's Hoborodi. Dude, you rock. All right, what is this? Little Labs. Red Eye, direct reamp, and expression splitter, I guess. Right on, dude. Oh, I think yeah. This is badass. Right on, dude. You guys want to see it? Let me pull it out. How does that go? Where's that thing? I don't know. Where is it? There she blows. Nice. Thank you very much, dude. You're awesome. Instrument in, reamp out. This is a solid piece of gear, y'all. This is pro gear. This is some pro stuff. Right on. Little Labs. Thank you, man. Thank you, Hoborodi. You rock, bro. You're amazing. All right. So until next time, you guys, let's bring the co-hosts back. Till next time, rock on, and see you in the other shows. If you can make it, I might not be able to go in all the other shows. If I get a chance to lurk in them, I will. Otherwise, I'll be busy doing stuff. I got to go help my sister. I need to install a toilet for her. Believe it or not.
Fun.
Later this drum evening. Machine, and the drums too. It also has a throne, right?
Yeah, it does. Good one, Janice.
Double throne.
Absolutely.
Setting up two
All right,
thrones
I'll be helping out with 2 thrones later.
It just popped
All right,
out.
you guys. See
That's
you
good.
next time.
Funny.
Thanks for
Rock on,
coming.
everybody.
Okay.
Yeah,
Nice
Janice is the best.
nice to see you, Brent.
Yeah, good to
Nice
see you,
to see you.
Janice.
Yeah,
Same.
yeah.
Let's do it again sometime.
I wish I had Brent's hair. Look at that
Yeah.
gorgeous hair.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, look at you too. I used to have hair like that too, long hair. Yeah,
Oh,
anyway,
man.
I got my
Until next
grandpa's
time, you
genes.
guys.
My hair is super dark, and then my hair comes in white. So I'm not even gonna
You're-
have gray hair. I'm gonna just have white
dude,
hair.
your dad still has great hair too. Yeah, you guys are lucky. Yeah, I was like
Anyway.
around 17 when a hairstylist says, you have a receding hairline. I'm like,
Dude, I knew a guy in high school that he would just pull out
Thanks.
clumps of hair. Just it was just crazy. I'm so glad I'm
Wow.
not like that. Anyway.
Yeah. All right. We'll end it on the hair show. The hair show for men. Until next time, you guys rock on. See you later.
Ciao, dudes.
Ciao.